Have you ever heard of the giants in the Bible, in Greek and Norse mythology, or in ancient legends? They were powerful, enormous beings who struck fear into the hearts of humankind, yet few have paid attention to a strange detail: if there were male giants, then who were their wives, and what was the true origin of the female giants? This is a secret hidden for thousands of years, lying on the boundary between gods, humans, and supernatural forces. Let us lift the veil of this mystery. In the book of Genesis, there is a passage that mentions the Nephilim, mysterious beings born from the union of fallen angels and the daughters of men. Giants were not simply large creatures, but a dangerous hybrid of divine power and mortal blood. But if that was the case, then who were their wives, their partners? Did female giants truly exist? Many ancient cultures spoke of the presence of female giants in Norse lore. The Jotun, frost giants, included both male and female, and many giantesses even became wives of the Aesir god. Skadi, the giantess of ice and snow, was once married to the sea god Njord. In Greek mythology, the titanesses such as Rhea, Themis, and Mnemosyne were formidable female giants who served as wives and mothers of the highest gods. In the Bible and ancient Jewish tradition, some theories suggest that certain human women, after uniting with fallen angels, absorbed their power and transformed into giantesses, passing that bloodline on to future generations. The marriages of giants were filled with mystery and tragedy. Some had wives who were ordinary women, and from this the giant bloodline thinned, their strength diminished, and their lifespan grew short. On the other hand, when a giant married a female giant, their power was preserved, and their clan could rule vast lands. Legends say that a giant could only be truly immortal if he had a wife equal in strength. Giantesses were not only companions, but also keepers of balance, both the support behind and the restraint upon immense power. Yet not all unions were harmonious. Some giantesses, angered at being disrespected, abandoned their kin, vanishing into deep forests, becoming mountains, rivers, mists, or waves. Giantesses were often tied to nature, as if they themselves embodied the rains, the earth, and the cycles of the seasons. Some legends warn that if a giant betrayed his wife, the entire tribe would fall into ruin, the land would dry up, and life would wither away. They were not merely wives, but the other half that maintained the balance between power and life. Looking deeper, the wives of the giants symbolized the balance of yin and yang, male and female, strength and compassion. They serve as a reminder of the intimate bond between humanity and nature when power is separated from mercy. The race of giants perishes. Giantesses were mothers, wives, companions, but above all they were the living image of nature itself, nurturing, protective, yet capable of destruction. The questions remain: did female giants truly exist in flesh and blood, or were they metaphors for the forces of nature and powers beyond human comprehension? And if they once walked this earth, could their blood still flow somewhere in the veins of humankind today? Imagine if one day scientists uncovered genetic evidence proving that humans once carried the blood of giants. What would you think then? When we widen our perspective to other ancient traditions, the mystery deepens even further. In Mesopotamian myths, echoes of female giants appear in stories of primordial goddesses like Tiamat, described as a monstrous, enormous being whose body became the source of the heavens and the earth. In Celtic lore, giantesses were said to have shaped landscapes with their footsteps, carving valleys and raising mountains simply by moving across the land. In the folklore of Native American peoples, tales often describe giant women as guardians of rivers, lakes, and sacred stones, towering figures who demanded respect, but who could also bestow fertility and abundance when honored properly. These recurring archetypes suggest that the idea of female giants was not an isolated invention, but a universal theme in humanity's effort to explain the power of creation, destruction, and balance. Ancient storytellers may have clothed the forces of nature in the shape of giantesses to make sense of storms, floods, earthquakes, and fertile harvests. They became wives of giants not just in the literal sense, but as symbols of the union between chaos and order, between raw power and sustaining life. Some scholars argue that myths of giant wives might also hide distorted memories of encounters with actual ancient peoples. Much taller, stronger tribes may have once walked the earth, leaving behind skeletal remains and legends that inspired these stories. The idea that some of these tribes had powerful women, chieftains, warriors, or priestesses, could easily have grown into the myth of giantesses who ruled alongside their husbands or defied them outright. The tragedies associated with giant marriages also serve as cautionary tales. When giants married mortal women, their strength diminished. This could be read as a metaphor for power diluted when separated from its divine or natural roots. When giantesses abandoned their kin and dissolved into elements of nature, it was perhaps a way to explain natural disasters. Droughts, floods, and storms became manifestations of a wronged or forsaken bride. Even today, the motif of the powerful female giant persists in literature, fantasy, and popular culture. These stories fascinate us because they touch on timeless questions. What happens when strength lacks compassion? What balance is required for creation and destruction to coexist? How does humanity fit into a world where forces far greater than us may once have walked the earth? Perhaps the female giants were never meant to be understood literally, but spiritually they stand as towering reminders that no force, however mighty, can endure without balance, respect, and harmony. Their presence across cultures shows us that people everywhere sensed a need to personify the feminine side of power, not as weak or secondary, but as equal, essential, and sometimes more terrifying than the masculine. And so the mystery remains: if these wives of the giants truly walked among us, their bones may lie hidden beneath mountains or oceans. If not, then they continue to live in the stories that whisper warnings from the past. Either way, their legacy is undeniable. They are the shadowed half of the giant story, the hidden origin of female giants, and the enduring question that haunts the myths of our ancestors.